All right, next up for Shark Week, we've got the Reef. So I have said many times that I think that besides Jaws, this is the best shark movie. This is the most serious shark movie that I've watched. Now, I reviewed a movie called Blackwater for my Killer Croc Alligator Week that I did in preparation for the movie Crawl. And Blackwater, I had said, was the best killer croc alligator movie that was more serious toned that I had seen, and that Rogue was more fun, kind of like a Jaws. And lo and behold, I go and look it up, and The Reef is directed by the same guy who directed Blackwater, which I thought was just, I don't know, mind-blowing to me at the time. I was like, oh my God, no wonder, this guy definitely has a tone to his movies. He goes for the based on true events stories and tries to play them very realistically. And he's successful in that way. I mean, this film is very realistic, and because of that, it makes it scary. And just to kind of be put in the shoes of that. Anytime a movie starts with based on true events, you're going to get a lot of your audience sitting there watching what's happening and unfolding like it absolutely happened 100% that way in their head, and they're not going to research further into that, which I did research into this movie after the fact, and I have to say I'm actually kind of bummed in a way because they didn't stick to the facts of what actually happened or what the guy said actually happened. So there was 3 people, and they tried to swim back to shore just like in this movie. Their boat had capsized, and they had to swim for shore, which is very, very far away. And along the way, they were being hunted by a tiger shark. And now, where this movie differs from the real story, which I found to be really interesting when I researched it, because, okay, in movies, they have these heroic moments that they'll give characters with self-sacrifice, and you have to sit there as the viewer and go, did they really do that, or did they do that for dramatic purposes? And because it's a movie, and you want to have these heroic moments. And here I read about a guy who got his leg bit off and he was bleeding, and in order to distract the shark away from them, he actually swam in the opposite direction, in a different way, so that they could swim, and he would lure the shark away, and then he succumbed to the shark taking him down. So he had this heroic moment where he actually led the shark away with his severed leg and the blood and all that, or as well as I had researched it anyways. And so we have those kinds of moments in movies a decent amount. And here, this actually happens in real life, and it's not in the movie. I found that to be very odd. Like, you actually have the history to back up somebody sacrificing themselves in this way, and you don't do it. So I find that odd. I also find it odd that they left the guy back on the boat when there wasn't a guy back on the boat, that there's 4 people out in the water instead of the actual 3. It's just, I don't know. It's always odd to me when people take true stories and they change events, but for no real good reason. Like, I guess upping the amount of people would up the body count, so the more scenes of tension and the more kills you can put on screen. Okay, I guess I could see that. But, okay, why have 2 characters die exactly the same way by being pulled under the water, and then have them come up bleeding from the leg, and then to be pulled back down again before anyone can get to them? So you could have combined that into one death. And the guy back on the boat, we never see his demise. We just find out that he died in the text at the end of the movie, but that character didn't exist. Not to what I'd read. To what I had read, all 3 went in the water, and only one made it back and was attacked. And here we have a female survivor who wasn't actually bit or attacked. I thought I had read that the person who survived was bit or attacked in some way. I could be wrong on that, but only 2 other people died. Not only, like, I'm not trying to minimize their death. It's horrible. And one of the most fucking horrendous stories I could ever imagine. Just feeling like you're going to your boat is sinking. You feel like you're either going to drown or you don't know what the hell is going to happen. So you try to swim for shore and you're being hunted by a tiger shark. That's just mind-blowingly scary to me. I think about that and I can't even fathom it. I mean, literally, I can't even get my brain around something so scary. Like, I don't like being out in open water like that in the ocean. It freaks me out. There's so much below. He makes a comment in this movie. She was like, there's something down there. And he was like, this is the ocean. There's millions of things down there. You know, we need to not focus. And I was just like, my brain went fucking crazy because they're at the very surface. And we can only see what's up above the surface. And as he said, like below the surface, there's billions. I mean, in that vicinity, there's millions of little creatures and living beings just kind of swimming around right underneath where they're at. And I don't know, that in my head was just like freaky. I was like, oh my God, it made me even scared, more scared of the ocean. So this movie does a very good job of kind of playing with your imagination and your fears, your inherent fears of the unknown and what's, below in the murky depths of the water. Because the sharks in this movie aren't shown the shark in this movie isn't shown that much. And the shark that you do see in the movie is always real. They used a real shark throughout the film, and you never actually get to see the shark eating anybody. They just kind of get pulled out of the water and blood kind of comes up. But yeah, the shark, no practicals, no nothing. So, I mean, that's as practical as you can get, is actually using a real shark. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that he always, and I think in Blackwater as well, he used only, most of the time, almost all of it was a real crocodile. And so I also looked up that he is making a Blackwater sequel right now, which I think is called Abyss, about Blackwater Abyss. Could be wrong on that. And then another movie, which is another killer animal movie called The Jungle, about a leopard, which I got to check that out, although the ratings are shit. They're not that good on this. This is like a 5.6 or something, and I want to say Blackwater is not much better, maybe at like a low 6, like a 6 or 6.1. That's too low for The Reef, for sure. This should be high 6s, low 7s or something for the quality of shark movie that this is. I think that this is similar to Open Water, which I feel like Open Water got a lot of praise, and I don't feel like this one gets talked about much, but when it does, it's almost always praise. It's just in comparison to Open Water, which is a fairly similar story. This one's much, much better in every way, in my opinion. It's been a while since I've seen Open Water, so maybe I watch it and have a change of heart. Maybe I should watch it for this. I already reviewed Open Water 3 on here, but I have not done Open Water 1, and Open Water 2 doesn't have anything to do with sharks. So, all right, so we've got these characters here, and he says something in the beginning about how you're less likely to die from a shark attack, you're more likely to die from a bee sting, this and that. For me personally, statistics just don't work. That's not the way to get through to me. I don't work like that. So when someone's like, oh, you're more likely to die on the way to the airport than you are on a plane itself. And it's like, yeah, I hear what you're saying and I get that, but here's the reality of it. Everyone who's ever died in a plane crash on the way down, especially in like the last decade, has been descending very fast and been like, wait, but people told me that this would never happen until it happens. So tell the fucking statistics to the people on the plane that are currently plummeting towards the earth. they probably would be like, fuck your statistics, I'm dying right now. So as I said, statistics just they don't work for me. I get why they work for sure, but in my head it does not silence out the anxiety of something like swimming out in the ocean or something. It's like, yeah, but I could still tell that to somebody who's had their leg bit off. Like, oh, well, you could never be. Well, I have been attacked by a shark. So what do you got to say about that? So yeah, we got a decent amount of relationship drama in here from our two mains, and I like it. I think the acting in this movie is solid. But the movie really mostly focuses on the thriller tension. They build up these characters so that you care about them when they die. I mean, that's something that movies should do. If you don't care about the characters and you're going to try to make a serious movie, if you want to make a playful movie, if you want to make a slasher that's just fun and the guy's going, you don't need character development. Not really. I mean, you can have it and it still can be fine. It's just, it's not necessary. But in a drama where I'm supposed to give a shit of whether these people can make it to shore or not, I do have to care for them in some way. I have to have some connection. I have to connect to them as human beings and be like, oh yeah, like I feel that way, you know. So I like that. I mean, I felt it was a fairly realistic take, of course. I mean, it's kind of basic. Like, we used to date and now we don't, and you know, I was scared to really get into a relationship. And I'll tell you this, the guy was definitely regretting not having sex with her out on the beach. Although her brother would have caught them in the act, and that would have been awkward. But I feel like I'd have to remember back to the very beginning moment of the movie, but I feel like the guy's like, oh, and remember my sister or something to the guy, and it's like, they used to date. Like, you don't know that? Am I reading that scene wrong? But I feel like in the beginning of this, the guy almost like introduces them and, oh, you remember my sister? It might have just been a joke, but the way he said it felt realistic, and I was like, but they were like in a serious relationship. So as I said, I think maybe I just saw that wrong. I think I said mostly everything. Just the sequences of, I feel like this shark is a total dick. I don't know how realistic this is, if they just like bite you and then take you down and, you know, once, but like almost everybody's death in this movie are both the two deaths we see, and then the third, I guess he kind of gets pulled under. He's done with the bullshit. But the first two people that he kills, he like chomps on them and lets them come up so they can be in misery and agony and scream out and let these people get really scared. And he's like just kind of circling and dicking with them, and then he just kind of, right before they can get to him, he's like, nope, just kidding, you ain't getting them. And there wasn't anything they could have done anyways. I mean, the first guy bled out before they could even do anything, and then the shark comes and yanks him down. But it's just so mean. I know he's not doing it on purpose and whatnot, but it's just, it feels so mean-spirited. And yeah, I mean, I would just have a full-blown panic attack. I don't even think I'd be able to swim, to be completely honest. I don't know. You never know what you're going to do in those situations, but watching this movie, wow. And yeah, I mean, the ending of this is just kind of that you know, insult to injury. Like, you can't, there it is, you've been swimming the whole time. I like how the guy goes down and he grabs swimsuits and he grabs little like boogie boards and he cuts it in half and he gives them something so that they can rest on them, and they're not going to overexert themselves and drown, because unfortunately that's what happens. That's why a lot of people drown, is they swim and then their bodies cramp up and they can't swim anymore and they just sink, and that's just a terrible thought to even think about. But when they get to the island, when he's swimming to the island, he's swimming as fast as he can, and they get there and he pushes her up and the rocks are too slippery, and then he comes around and she's trying to pull him up on the rocks, and boom, he gets taken last second. Real grim ending, and then it's just boom, credits, text, that's that. But not the real story, but you know, based on true events, based on a true story. This is so light. They always, they could throw that in for anything. Anything's based on a true story if you want to get technical about it. So anyway, guys, what do you think about The Reef? Do you agree that this is the best serious killer shark movie, or do you have a different one? And as a, please let me know. I've already covered Deep Blue Sea 1 and 2. Yes, there is a second one. It's terrible. Don't ever watch it. Jaws 1 through 4, and then Bait I just watched last night. So let me know what other ones that you're looking forward to, and I'll check them out. All right, adios.